The morning sun spilled across the chrome edges of Maplewood Diner, a place where the smell of butter and syrup usually promised warmth and comfort. But on this particular day, the light couldn't erase the darkness creeping into the hearts of a few cruel boys. At a booth near the window sat Clara, a girl in a wheelchair with a plate of pancakes resting in front of her like a fragile shield against the world. Her face carried the quiet strength of someone who had endured much, yet her trembling hands betrayed her unease. The boys at the next booth didn't just laugh at her. They crossed a line that should never be crossed, as one of them slapped the plate from her lap, sending the food crashing to the tiled floor, and another shoved her wheelchair back with a mocking push. The diner froze, the bullies' laughter ringing louder than the clatter of falling plates, and Clara's eyes welled with tears she tried so hard to hold back, though humiliation burned hotter than pain. If you believe kindness should always conquer cruelty, that second chances matter, and that no one deserves to be treated this way, take a moment right now to like this video, comment, share it with others, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Together, we can remind the world that compassion is stronger than hate. Clara's life had never been easy. Born with a spinal condition that left her reliant on a wheelchair, she held on to her parents' belief that her spirit was meant to soar even if her legs could not, though the world often seemed determined to crush it. Every day, she faced quiet stares, whispered remarks, or pitying smiles from strangers who couldn't imagine her life. But what she endured that morning in the diner went far beyond pity. It was cruelty sharp enough to wound the soul. As the boys cheered, others in the diner lowered their heads, some shaking them in disapproval but doing nothing, while the waitress froze mid-step with coffee cups in her hands, fear etched across her face. Clara bent down awkwardly, trying to gather her pancakes with trembling hands, desperate not to make more of a scene, when another hand reached down, not rough, not mocking, but gentle, as an older man, gray at the temples, quietly picked up the plate and set it back in front of her. "Don't mind them," he whispered, but his. Clara's eyes darted nervously toward the gang of teenagers, the man's kindness a small candle flickering in a room full of shadows, but she still felt exposed, broken in ways no one could see. She sat quietly after that, her appetite gone, and her throat tight with unspoken words, wanting to ask why the world worked this way, why people thought it was acceptable to torment those who were different. Her heart thudding harder with each burst of laughter from the bullies who bragged loudly about their so-called bravery, oblivious to the cruelty of their actions. She closed her eyes and prayed for the nightmare to end, and an hour later something happened that shifted the entire energy of the diner. It began as a low rumble like distant thunder, growing louder until dozens of motorcycles rolled into the parking lot, chrome flashing in the sun, and engines growling like an approaching storm, the unmistakable insignia of the Hell's Angels emblazoned across their leather jackets. Conversations hushed, forks froze midair, and the bullies who had carried themselves with arrogance now grew restless, their smirks faltering as the diner door swung open with a soft jingle, followed by a silence that felt heavier than steel. A towering man with a thick beard and eyes like cold steel stepped in, his vest heavy with patches, followed by another, and then another until the diner seemed smaller, the air charged with tension. Clara's pulse raced with both fear and wonder as the men scanned the room, and then the leader's eyes softened when they landed on her, as if he understood everything without a word. He walked over, his boots heavy on the tiles, and knelt beside her, and for the first time since that morning, Clara didn't feel small. She felt seen, protected. Slowly, he turned his head toward the bullies, their pale faces betraying guilt as silence swallowed their bravado, and though Clara couldn't hear his exact words, the weight of them was clear. Shame washed over the boys as one by one they slid out of the booth, stumbling toward the exit with lowered heads, too afraid to ever meet Clara's eyes again. Outside, the motorcycles stood like a wall of steel and leather, ensuring the bullies' humiliation was complete before they fled, but Roar didn't. "Stop there." He called the waitress over, placed a large bill on the table, and told her to bring Clara anything she wanted: pancakes, milkshake, pie, the whole menu if she liked, then looked her in the eye and told her she was stronger than any of the cowards who had tried to break her spirit. In a gesture no one in that diner would ever forget, he slipped off his own leather vest, draped it gently across her shoulders, and told her she was family now. Clara's tears weren't of humiliation this time, but of gratitude, because in the span of an hour her life had shifted from pain to profound transformation. She realized kindness could come from the most unexpected places, and that sometimes the fiercest-looking people carried the softest hearts. The diner filled with quiet applause, some patrons wiping tears from their eyes, and the waitress hugged Clara, promising she would never again sit in that diner feeling invisible. For the first time in a long while, Clara felt a surge of hope. She knew that cruelty would always exist, but so would courage, and sometimes strangers could step in to rewrite the ending of your story. If this moment touched your heart and reminded you that kindness can rise even in the most unlikely places, take a moment to like this video, share it with friends, subscribe to Ordinary Fury, and leave a comment below. Your words might be the spark that inspires someone else to act with courage when the moment comes.